Welcome to part 2 of the Redrum Extension tutorial. In part 1, I showed how I created the patch, and now in part 2, I'll give a demonstration of how I program drums with it. There's a couple of different ways to build a drum kit within Redrum. You can load a preset by clicking on the folder in the lower left hand corner. Or you can load in samples one by one into the sample slots by clicking up here. For this demo, I'll just load a preset in. So let's go to the browser, and coming out of here, you can see the different genres of kits that they have available in the Reason Factory Sound Bank. Since I do hip-hop primarily, I'll click on hip-hop. I'll demo some sounds. Go to 2. I like that, so let's click OK. There's a couple of different ways to program drums in the Redrum. Since I have a MIDI keyboard, I use the keyboard to trigger my sounds and program them in the sequencer. Another way to program drums is to use the step sequencer. Now let's get started recording a kick drum. When I record my sequences, I like to separate things by lanes to keep them organized. So here we have lane 1, and I'll record my kick drum on lane 1. I usually like to record in 4 or 8 bars. So let's get started with an 8-bar sequence. Now that I've got my kick drum down, I'm going to record a snare drum. To add an extra lane, you can click the plus button right up here. Let's get started. So I've got my kick and my snare down, and that sounds good, but one problem: the timing. That's where quantization comes in. Quantization to a certain note value will make sure that the notes you record are within a certain beat. So to set quantization, you can go to the tool window in the far right corner over here. You can select the second tab, Sequencer Tools, and the first one open is Quantize Notes. Now the most common one that I use is the 16th note, or 1/16. You can set the value to different note values, and you can set the amount to different percentages. So here's how things sound without quantize. And once we select the two lanes, hit apply. Here's how it sounds with quantize. Alright, sounds good. So now that we got the kick and the snare down and it's quantized, let's record a hi-hat. Now, one of my main influences as a producer is J Dilla. One of J Dilla's signature techniques was programming drums and leaving quantize off to give it a live feel. Sometimes he would program drums off beat on purpose. So what I like to do sometimes is program my hi-hats without quantize to give it more of a live feel. So let's do that. Alright, I like that groove, but what I want to do is copy this 8 bars, at least the kick and the snare. And instead of playing quarter notes with the hi-hat, I want to play eighth notes. So I'll move my left and my right and set up a loop at the 10th bar and end it at the 18th bar. And we'll record like this. Now, one thing that you can keep in mind is you can go up to the quantize, and if you don't want to set it to 100% and you want to give it more of a live feel but still quantize it, you can set a different percentage, so 10%, 25% to make it light. Or you can double click on what you recorded and go into the edit mode. Go into the edit mode and zoom in, and you can edit notes and move them around manually. What you really want to do is take off snap to grid so you can move things around. So in Reason you have a lot of control over what you record. Alright, so that wraps up part 2 of this video. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'll be creating a track around this beat. Thanks for tuning in.